Let's talk. Because once again, the internet is pretending it doesn't know how jobs work, how statements work, or how grown adults speak when they part ways professionally. Meghan and Harry issued a statement. A staff member is moving on, and suddenly the same tired crowd is acting like they've uncovered the Pentagon Papers. Please, stretch before you reach like that. So let's slow this down, take a breath, and actually look at what was said, who said it, and why the hysteria says far more about the haters than it ever will about the Sussexes. Meredith Maines, their chief communications officer, announced she is leaving her role after about a year. Not fleeing, not running for the hills, not being forced out despite how desperately certain outlets want that to be true, leaving, as in making a professional decision, something adults do every single day, especially in communications where short tenures are not a scandal. They're the industry norm. And here's the part the haters keep tripping over like it's an inconvenient Lego on the floor. Meredith Maines had nothing but kind, respectful, and genuinely warm things to say about Meghan and Harry. No coded language, no passive-aggressive shade, no, well, it was an experience nonsense, just clarity and class. She openly expressed gratitude for working with them. She praised the work they did together. She spoke about respect. She spoke about appreciation. She spoke about moving on to a new opportunity in the future. That's it. That's the story. But because this involves Meghan and Harry, a normal career transition must be twisted into some kind of soap opera plot. Because heaven forbid the Sussexes be involved in something boring and professional. Let's be very clear. If Meredith Maines had left literally any other high-profile client and spoken this positively, the coverage would have been a yawn, a shrug, a LinkedIn post with clapping emojis. But when it's Meghan and Harry, suddenly it's chaos, turmoil, another one gone, with the same energy as someone keeping score in a game nobody else agreed to play. And that right there is the tell. Meghan and Harry responded exactly how leaders should respond. They thanked Meredith for her work, they acknowledged her contributions, they wished her well. No bitterness, no defensiveness, no scrambling, just professionalism. This is what healthy transitions look like. Not everyone is meant to stay in a role forever, especially in fast-moving, high-pressure communications work tied to global public figures. People come in, they do the job, they leave stronger, and so does the organization. That's not dysfunction, that's evolution. Now, let's talk about the haters' favorite phrase, high turnover. Say it with me slowly. Communications roles have high turnover everywhere. In politics, in entertainment, in corporate leadership, in crisis management, in media. People move, contracts end, agencies change, strategies shift. That's not unique to the Sussexes, it's literally the field. But here's the difference the haters refuse to acknowledge. People who leave Meghan and Harry consistently speak well of them. Consistently. That matters. If this were truly some toxic nightmare scenario, you'd hear whispers, you'd see anonymous quotes, you'd get sources say horror stories leaking like a sieve. Instead, you get former staff publicly wishing them well and praising the experience. That's not accidental. That's not spin. That's pattern. And Meredith Maines' words are especially important because she didn't have to say anything. She could have quietly exited. She could have gone radio silent. Instead, she chose to speak kindly and directly. That tells you everything. But of course, kindness doesn't trend as well as outrage. So the same people who scream, "Why do they always clap back?" are suddenly furious when the Sussexes don't. When they simply say thank you and move on. Make it make sense. Let's also address the agency angle because that's another place where logic goes to die. Yes, they're shifting their EUS communication structure. Yes, they're consolidating. Yes, they're making strategic changes. That's called running a business. Archewell is not a hobby. It's a global nonprofit and media operation. Strategy changes over time. And no, changing agencies does not mean failure. It means reassessment. Companies do it all the time. Celebrities do it all the time. Corporations do it constantly. But again, when Meghan and Harry do it, suddenly it's treated like a 5-alarm fire. What really bothers the haters isn't staff movement. It's control. They hate that Meghan and Harry control their narrative. They hate that former staff don't come out swinging. They hate that the mean boss storyline keeps collapsing under the weight of actual testimony. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Meghan and Harry don't fit the villain arc they were assigned. They thank people. They wish them well. Their former colleagues speak respectfully. Their projects continue. Their influence remains, and no amount of screaming headlines can change that. Meredith Mains's sweet words matter because they cut through the noise. They're not filtered through tabloids. They're not twisted by commentators. They are her words, and they are calm, positive, and forward-looking. That doesn't support the narrative of chaos. That supports the narrative of adults doing adult things. And let's be honest for a second. If this were William or Kate, this would be framed as a strategic pivot or a new chapter. There would be analysis about leadership growth and organizational maturity. But because it's Meghan and Harry, it becomes a moral play. The double standard is exhausting, but it's also transparent. The haters want drama so badly that they ignore the simplest explanation. Meredith Mains did her job, did it well, and is moving on. Meghan and Harry appreciated her work and said so publicly. End of story. Except it's not the end of the story because the Sussexes keep thriving in ways that make certain people deeply uncomfortable. They keep attracting talented professionals. They keep launching projects. They keep commanding attention without begging for it. And every time someone leaves on good terms, the narrative cracks just a little more. So to the haters watching this video, furiously typing in the comments, let me say this with love. Not everything is a conspiracy. Not every exit is an indictment. And not every successful woman needs to be portrayed as impossible to work with just to soothe your worldview. Meredith Mains spoke. Her words were kind. Her tone was respectful. Her future plans are optimistic. That should be the headline. But since some outlets won't say it plainly, we will. This was a professional transition handled professionally, full stop. And to Meghan and Harry, once again, you showed how it's done. No mess, no mudslinging, just gratitude and forward motion. So yes, the haters can log this one as another failed gotcha, another moment where the facts refuse to cooperate with the fantasy, another reminder that reality keeps interrupting the narrative. And to Meredith Mains, wishing you success in whatever comes next. Your words spoke volumes, loud enough to drown out the noise. To my lovely viewers, thank you for always seeing through the nonsense, for supporting truth over tantrums, and for showing up with critical thinking fully switched on. If you enjoyed this breakdown, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, and keep your standards high and your tea hot. Because no matter how hard they try, the haters stay pressed and the Sussexes stay unbothered.